All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about The Rose Tattoo. This is a film starring Burt Lancaster and Anna Magnani. This is kind of part two of a little mini series I did. Yesterday, I did a clip about The Country Girl, in which Grace Kelly, as you can see illustrated on the cover here, she won her Best Female Actor Award in 1954 for this film at the Academy Awards the following year. Anna Magnani won the same award for Best Lead Performance by a Female Actor for her role in The Rose Tattoo. This is a film that was based on a screenplay by Tennessee Williams. Both of these great female actors kind of show interesting aspects of their acting ability. Magnani very much more in the typical kind of characterization that you see from her. For Grace Kelly, this was kind of out of her usual pristine, ice cool glamour queen roles, a little bit more down to earth and a little bit more wearied from life. So I talked about that in my clip yesterday, so that's enough about The Country Girl. But The Rose Tattoo, what an interesting specimen this is of kind of top shelf Hollywood entertainment. It won 3 Academy Awards. I've already talked about the acting award. There's also a best cinematography and also best art direction. This was filmed in Key West, and they kind of gave the film look more of like a rustic Italian immigrant village on the south or the Gulf Coast in the southern USA. So it's supposed to be somewhere like in the Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama area. It's about an Italian woman who loses her husband pretty early on in the movie. She's a grieving widow, but she's also just a very passionate woman. And that was the specialty, I suppose you could say, of Anna Magnani. Let's take a look at the trailer here. It'll give a sense of how the movie presented itself to its original audiences. I will say this, the resolution of the trailer is terrible. In fact, even on the disc menu here, it has a list of the different trailers, this one as well as a few others from around the same time. And it even says low res next to the name of the trailer on the disc menu. That's the only trailer that comes in that low res warning. It must be that the original elements got lost somewhere along the way and they can't find it anymore. So looks like what they use is like an old VHS copy or some other digital copy. It looks poor, so be forewarned. The image on the Blu-ray itself is very clean and very modern and very kind of state-of-the-art for a restoration for a 1950s film. It looks great, but here's the trailer.
Lancaster surpasses his greatest performances in this Broadway hit. Playing the magnificent brute with the rose tattoo, finding his match in the incomparable actress whose flaming talents have been acclaimed by all the world.
Go home! Stay with me tonight. Don't go. Don't go, darling. I don't understand these strange night rounds that you make.
Yeah! A rose tattoo on a chest, same as the macaronis.
Liar. Liar! Get out! Get out! Get out!
You know better than to ask me such a question.
Magnificent Magnani, fighting to learn the secret sealed in the confessional, striving to protect the virtue of her beautiful daughter.
Look, honey, you gotta hold some of your emotion back. Hold some of it back till you're old.
My girl is innocent, pure. She is or she was? I would like to know which.
Magnificent Magnani, fighting to possess her man completely with all the jealous fury that raged in her blood.
I are not. I have proof. What proof? I have proof. What proof?
Thinks I'm lying. Let me show her this. See for yourself. His rose tattooed on my chest.
right, that trailer kind of gives you the hint that this is some hot stuff here, right? It's startling frankness. And yes, indeed, this is a very passionate story about strong emotions, talked about the grief and loss of a woman who lost her deeply loved husband. In fact, there's kind of a very carnal aspect to it in the opening scenes when we see the husband with his back to the camera. We never see his face, but she's kind of kissing his arms and shoulders and neck while he's sleeping, or at least acting like he's asleep. And you can tell there's a very strong sort of erotic bond that she has with him in particular. She's also got a teenage daughter who is coming of age. You sort of saw that alluded to in the trailer, and she's a little feisty one herself. In fact, she has a sailor boyfriend, which of course in all the code of the time means he's supposed to be the randy one, but it's the daughter who needs to kind of cool her jets a little bit, and it's her sailor boyfriend who's the honorable man trying to help her kind of keep it under a lid there for a little bit. So yeah, this is a story, The Rose Tattoo, authored by Tennessee Williams, who seems to have made a practice of just going as far close to the line of sort of decency and acceptable explicitness, forthrightness as he could, and then perhaps pushing just a toe or two over that line, but before official censorship comes down, even though, yeah, this film certainly had its condemners and naysayers and haters and all of that. The Catholic Legion of Decency, I think, is mentioned in the commentary track as having a very ill opinion of this particular work. Because Anna Magnani was Italian, I think there's again sort of a code that says she can perhaps express lustier vibes than we might expect from a Grace Kelly or some of the other more, specifically white actresses of that time. Anna Magnani had already established her reputation. In fact, let's take a look at some of the key films in the Criterion Collection, starting with Rome Open City. Right there, this was kind of her big breakout role, a foundational work of Italian neorealism. She did some work with Pasolini years later. Actually, I've got them out of order here. Let's go with Renoir and The Golden Coach in the early 1950s. Pasolini in the early 1960s. The Fugitive Kind, that's a 1960 movie, so it came after Rose Tattoo, but before Mama Roma. And then Anna Magnani, I think this might have been her last screen appearance, a very quick cameo in Federico Fellini's Roma. So very strong association with the city of Rome, of course, but really a magnificent actor. I mean, I use the word magnificent in the trailer, and she is. She captures just such a range of emotions and really almost gives permission to the viewers to sort of be that more robust, expressive personality that perhaps the social ethos of the time kind of forbade them to be that candid or to be that out front with their feelings. Burt Lancaster, he's given the lead role in the billing here. He doesn't really appear until really the last half or third of the movie, but he does give a very boisterous performance. So if you're a fan of either of these two actors, this is pretty much essential material, although maybe for Lancaster it's a little bit less essential because it's a relatively small role compared to a lot of the other ones that he played. But like he says, when he's gotten the opportunity to be on screen, he's very lively, very dynamic. He plays this truck driver who has a lot of echoes of Serafina, the Anna Magnani character, her late husband. She sees a lot of what she found attractive in her deceased husband in this truck driver played by Burt Lancaster, named Alvaro. And but she doesn't want to let herself go there. She feels like there's a duty-bound honor for her to become kind of a grieving widow and to honor her husband's memory, even though we find out pretty early on that he's been unfaithful, and that perhaps she's giving him more respect and ongoing adoration than he actually is due or deserves. And so this is the kind of tempestuous emotional sort of currents running through this film. Alvaro seems kind of like a thick-headed guy, which is kind of a little harder to accept because Burt Lancaster, he's pretty put together. I mean, he's kind of the complete package guy, you know, athletic, sexy, swaggery, but you also know he's a smart guy too. He's got an act going on, and in here he plays a bit of a lunkhead. So, you know, there's a limitation, but he's very, very enthusiastic about the role. He dives into it and gives it his all. And so on that level, it's pretty good. The Hal Wallace production, I think, is another really important piece, and it probably explains as much as anything else why this film won 3 Academy Awards. I'm not knocking the cinematography or the art design. I didn't see anything all that special about it that made it clearly better than anything else. But again, I haven't done the side-by-side comparisons as far as 1955 Oscar winners. But Hal Wallace was a very successful, big wheel Hollywood producer of the time. And I have to just imagine his industry connections got him maybe a little bit of extra consideration that if the film had a different producer, it might not have done so well. Oh, I've got a few more things that I've kind of pulled out of my stack here for Burt Lancaster. So my Criterion parallels here. This is kind of Burt Lancaster's big breakout role in The Killers. A few years later, he did Brute Force, a kind of a intense prison drama. Of course, who can forget his turn as in The Leopard by Luchino Visconti. And also, he was a pretty good role in Bill Forsyth's Local Hero later on in his career. So those are just some connections. So yeah, if you're a fan of 1950s Oscar winners, Anna Magnani, Burt Lancaster, or Tennessee Williams, this is definitely one of the more rollicking and energetic adaptations, and probably not nearly as well seen as some of his other films. Yeah, The Rose Tattoo. This is a significant release. The commentary track on here is great. It's a man and a woman, Julie Kurgo and Peter Hankoff, and they're very funny. They've got great rapport and chemistry, and they definitely have some fun in their recounting of this film. I mean, it's not a comedy, but it does definitely have some very funny moments. It's kind of an emotional potboiler with some heavy soap opera-ish types of tendencies at times, but it was I would say it's probably a very important film in terms of the loosening of the restrictions of what could be expressed or portrayed on film, especially as the emotional catalysts and the character arcs where they're dealing with some of those really strong, messy, complicated and hard to manage emotions that we all carry with us, but for many decades we're just not able to be openly portrayed on film with the kind of candor and freedom that we often assume and take for granted these days. So Rose Tattoo, another strong recommendation, a great release from Kino Lorber. They both came out right around the same time. Country Girl, The Rose Tattoo. It's a good match set, so I would definitely recommend finding them both and giving them a look.